Think about your average day. You wake up, you check your phone, you go to school or work, you eat at specific times, you come home exhausted, you sleep, and you repeat this 5 or 6 days a week for your entire life. Now imagine all of that. Just gone. No alarm, no job, no school, no boss, no deadlines, no bills, no schedule of any kind. What would you actually do all day? This was the reality for ancient humans for over 200,000 years, and what they chose to do with their time, with complete freedom every single day, is one of the most fascinating and surprising stories in all of human history. Let's start with the morning, because ancient humans did have one non-negotiable task every single day: finding food. But here's what most people get completely wrong about this. They imagine ancient humans spending the entire day desperately hunting, barely surviving, exhausted from the moment they woke up. The reality was very different. Anthropologists who study modern hunter-gatherer tribes, who live essentially the same way our ancestors did, have found something shocking. These people spend on average only 3 to 4 hours per day finding food. Not 8 hours, not 10 hours, 3 to 4 hours. The men would typically go hunting in the early morning when animals are most active. The women and older children would gather plants, roots, berries, and nuts nearby, and by midday, they were usually done. The rest of the day? Completely free. Ancient humans had more leisure time than most modern workers. In fact, economist John Kenneth Galbraith famously called hunter-gatherers the original affluent society. Not because they had things, but because they had time. The one thing modern humans feel they never have enough of. So what did they do with all that free time? The number one activity of ancient humans, by a massive margin, was talking, socializing, gossiping, storytelling, sitting around with their tribe and just talking. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer tribes found that adults spend up to 4 hours every evening just sitting together and talking, mostly about other people. Who did what? Who said what? Who is sleeping with who? Who is being selfish? Who is being brave? Sound familiar? That's because we still do exactly this today. We just call it social media. Gossip is not a modern vice. It is an ancient survival tool. Understanding the social dynamics of your tribe, who was trustworthy, who was dangerous, who had skills, who had resources, was literally life or death information in the ancient world. The tribes that communicated well, that shared information, that built strong social bonds, survived. The ones that didn't. Every time you gossip, you're using a survival skill that kept your ancestors alive for 200,000 years. But ancient humans didn't just talk, they created. The oldest known art in the world dates back 45,000 years. Cave paintings found in Indonesia showing a wild pig. But we have evidence of artistic behavior going back over 100,000 years. Ancient humans carved patterns into rocks. They made jewelry from shells and animal teeth. They painted their bodies with red ochre pigment. They made musical instruments from bones. The oldest known flute is 60,000 years old, made from a bear's femur by a Neanderthal. Art is not a luxury invented by civilization. Art is a fundamental human need that is at least as old as our species itself. They also told stories. Every single night around the fire, ancient humans told stories about hunts, about dangers, about the stars, about where they came from. These stories were their history, their science, their religion, and their entertainment all in one. Researchers believe that storytelling around the fire was one of the most important activities in early human development. It built empathy, it transferred knowledge, it kept the tribe unified. Every movie you watch, every book you read, every podcast you listen to, is a direct descendant of an ancient human sitting by a fire telling stories in the dark. Ancient humans also played, not just children, adults too. Play was a serious part of ancient life. Young men practiced hunting skills through games that involved throwing spears, running, wrestling, and tracking. These weren't just entertainment, they were survival training disguised as fun. Women and children played games that developed social skills, communication, and coordination. Ancient toys have been found at archaeological sites. Small clay animals, spinning tops, carved dolls, some over 4,000 years old. Play is not something humans invented when life got easy. Play is something evolution built into us because it makes us better survivors. There's also evidence that ancient humans danced regularly. Communal dancing is found in every human culture on Earth, and researchers believe it dates back to the very earliest human societies. Dancing together builds trust, it synchronizes heartbeats, it releases endorphins, it creates a feeling of unity that is incredibly powerful for a small, vulnerable tribe trying to survive in a dangerous world. Your urge to dance at a party? 200,000 years old. A significant part of the ancient day was spent making and maintaining things. Stone tools didn't make themselves. A good spear point could take hours of careful work, chipping away at flint with precise, controlled strikes to create a sharp edge. This skill was highly valued and took years to master. They also made clothing from animal skins, scraping, stretching, and softening hides. They made baskets and containers from plant fibers. They made rope. They sharpened weapons. They repaired shelters. Ancient humans were the most multi-skilled humans who ever lived. Every single adult knew how to find food, build shelter, make fire, make clothes, make tools, treat wounds, navigate by stars, predict weather, and identify hundreds of plants and animals. The average modern human? We can barely change a tire. This skill building wasn't separate from social life. Tool making happened in groups. People talked while they worked. They taught each other. They competed to make better tools. It was work and socializing at the same time, the ancient equivalent of a craft workshop. Except the craft was survival. Ancient humans were also deeply curious. They explored, constantly, not because they had to, but because curiosity was survival. The tribe that knew every plant in the forest, every animal track, every water source, every seasonal change, that tribe had a massive survival advantage. Children spent most of their day in what we would now call free play, but was actually intense learning. They watched adults hunt and helped when they could. They explored the forest, learning which plants were safe. They observed animals. They experimented. There was no school, but there was constant education, just delivered through experience and observation rather than sitting in a classroom. Children were not separated from adult life. They were immersed in it from birth. By the time an ancient human child was 10 or 12 years old, they already had more practical survival knowledge than most modern adults will ever have. The ancient world was their classroom, and it was the most effective school that has ever existed. And then came the evening, which for ancient humans was the best part of the day. As the sun set, the whole tribe gathered around the fire. The hunting was done, the gathering was done, the work was done, and now, for hours, they were free to simply be together. This is when the stories came out. The elder would tell the story of the great hunt from 10 years ago, slightly more dramatic each time. Someone would imitate an animal they had seen that day. Someone else would sing. Laughter was constant. Studies of modern hunter-gatherer tribes show that laughter rates around the evening fire are significantly higher than in modern social settings. These people genuinely enjoyed each other's company. The ancient campfire was their television, their restaurant, their pub, their therapy session, their church, all in one. And here is the most interesting part. Researchers have found that the quality of social life around the evening fire was one of the strongest predictors of a tribe's survival. Tribes that laughed more, talked more, told more stories, had better cooperation, better information sharing, and better outcomes. Joy was not a luxury for ancient humans. Joy was a survival strategy. So what did ancient humans do all day? They hunted and gathered for a few hours. They talked, laughed, and gossiped. They made art and told stories. They played and danced. They made tools and learned skills. They explored and stayed curious. And then they sat around a fire together and enjoyed being alive. They worked less than we do. They played more than we do. They laughed more than we do. And they spent more time with the people they loved than almost any modern human. Maybe the ancient humans had it figured out better than we ever gave them credit for. If this made you think, subscribe to Primal Minds. Every week we dig up the most fascinating truths about your prehistoric ancestors. The next video is right there. I'll see you in it.